Friday night, 1994. You're in the back seat. Dad just pulled into the parking lot and that blue and yellow sign is glowing against the dark sky like a lighthouse. You haven't even opened the car door yet and you already know exactly what's about to happen. You know the smell, you know the sound, you know the feeling in your chest that says tonight is going to be a good night. The doors open and it hits you. That smell. Plastic cases and carpet and popcorn from the machine by the register, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, rows and rows and rows of VHS tapes lining every wall, floor to ceiling, new releases up front, the covers facing out, bright and loud, every single one promising you the best 2 hours of your weekend. You head straight there. Everybody heads straight there. And the first thing you do is look for the box you've been thinking about since Monday. You spot it, your heart jumps, then you pull the case off the wall and it's light, empty, no tape behind it. Somebody got here before you. That crushing disappointment, that feeling that your whole Friday night plan just fell apart in 3 seconds. If you're over 35, you know exactly what that felt like. There is no streaming equivalent. So you improvise, you wander, you drift past action and into comedy and across to horror, where the covers alone were worth the trip. You flip a box over and read the back. You look at the little screenshots. You put it back. You pick up another one. Your brother wants something different. Your mom says nothing rated R. Your dad doesn't care as long as it's not a musical. Somehow, after 20 minutes of negotiation more intense than most United Nations sessions, the family agrees on 2 movies and a video game, maybe 3 movies if dad's in a good mood. Negotiation, then the candy, a wall of it near the register, Goobers, Milk Duds, Twizzlers, Junior Mints, Reese's Pieces, microwave popcorn in a 3-pack, a 2-liter of Coke if mom says yes. You pile it all on the counter next to the tapes and hand over the membership card. That blue and yellow card with the barcode on the back that felt like it mattered more than a library card. The teenager behind the counter scans everything, tells you the due date, and slides the tapes into a plastic bag, and then the 5 words, every single time, printed on a sticker on every single tape. Be kind, please rewind. That was Blockbuster. That was Friday night in America for 25 years. Not a movie, an event, a family negotiation, a ritual, a $2 rental, and a 90-minute drive home with a VHS tape on the passenger seat and the whole weekend ahead of you. Millions of people did this every single week. The parking lot was packed on Friday nights the way church lots were packed on Sundays. You'd run into people you knew, you'd see what they were renting, you'd recommend something, they'd warn you about something. It was social in a way that scrolling through Netflix on your couch at midnight will never be. You had to choose. You had to commit. You had to live with your decision because you couldn't just click something else in 30 seconds. And if you didn't rewind the tape before you brought it back, the next person who rented it would know. There was accountability, there was a code, and everybody followed it because that's just what you did. Social. Now, how it all started and how the whole thing fell apart. In 1985, a software developer in Dallas named David Cook was watching his company fall apart. He had built a business writing computer programs for oil and gas companies, and when the Texas oil industry collapsed, so did his customer base. His wife Sandi suggested they look into video rentals. Cook studied the industry and found a mess. Most video stores were small family operations, with a few hundred tapes behind a counter, no system, no inventory tracking, and no way to know what was selling. He saw an opportunity that had nothing to do with movies and everything to do with data. On October 19, 1985, the first Blockbuster video opened in Dallas, Texas. There were over 8,000 tapes on the shelves, not behind the counter, on the shelves like a bookstore. Customers picked them up, carried them to the front, and checked out with a barcode scanner. Magnetic strips on the tapes and sensors at the doors helped stop theft. A computer tracked every rental in real time. It was the most sophisticated video store anyone had ever seen. The first night they were so packed they had to lock the doors to stop more people from coming in. Cook opened 3 more stores the next year, but he needed money to grow and he could not raise it fast enough. In February 1987, he sold a third of the company to 3 investors for $18.6 million. One of them was Wayne Huizenga, the man who had co-founded Waste Management and turned it into the largest garbage collection company on earth. Huizenga looked at Blockbuster the way he had looked at garbage, a fragmented industry with no dominant player and a massive opportunity to consolidate. Cook left the company within months. Huizenga took over and changed everything. Where Cook wanted to grow through franchising, Huizenga wanted to own every store himself. He bought back franchises, he bought competing chains, he bought regional players and absorbed them. He used techniques from his waste business and Ray Kroc's McDonald's playbook and opened new Blockbuster stores at a pace nobody in retail had ever seen. A new store every 17 hours. That's not a typo. In just over 6 years, Huizenga took a company with a $32 million market cap and turned it into a cultural institution. By 1991, there were over 1,800 stores. By 1993, Blockbuster was a multi-billion-dollar company. But Huizenga was nervous. Cable television was growing, and video on demand was on the horizon. He did not know exactly when technology would catch up, but he knew it would. So he did what he did best. He sold. In 1994, Viacom bought Blockbuster for $8.4 billion. Huizenga walked away with hundreds of millions. He went on to buy the Florida Marlins, the Florida Panthers, and the Miami Dolphins. He died in 2018 worth $2.5 billion. Blockbuster never fit inside Viacom. It was a retail chain inside a media conglomerate that owned MTV and Nickelodeon and Paramount Pictures. Viacom did not know what to do with it and mostly left it alone. In 1999, they spun Blockbuster off as a separate company, but there was a catch. As part of the split, Blockbuster had to pay a $5 per share dividend to Viacom. To cover it, they took out a $905 million loan. That debt would follow them to the grave. But before the debt killed them, Blockbuster was still the king. The peak came in 2004, 9,094 stores, 84,300 employees, $5.9 billion in revenue, and $800 million a year in late fees alone. 16% of total revenue came from punishing customers for returning movies a day late. $1 a day, for every tape. The most hated fee in American retail, and the single biggest reason someone decided to build something better. The story goes that in 1997, a man named Reed Hastings returned a copy of Apollo 13 to his local video store 6 weeks late and got hit with a $40 charge. He was so angry that he started thinking about a world where you could rent movies without the fear of being punished for keeping them too long. Hastings has since admitted the story was more pitch than truth, but the idea was real. In 1997, he and Mark Randolph founded Netflix, a DVD by mail service. No late fees, no due dates, a flat monthly subscription. You watched at your own pace and mailed the disc back when you were done. It was slow. It was clunky. It was losing money, but it was the future. In the year 2000, Hastings and Randolph flew to Dallas to meet with Blockbuster CEO John Antioco on the 27th floor of the Renaissance Tower. They had 300,000 subscribers. They were not profitable. The dot-com bubble was collapsing around them. They needed a lifeline. They offered to sell Netflix to Blockbuster for $50 million. John Antioco listened. He nodded. He asked the price. When he heard $50 million, he had to fight to keep a straight face. He said no. The Netflix team flew home crushed. Netflix is worth over $500 billion today. It owns Warner Brothers. It has more than 300 million subscribers. It changed the entire entertainment industry. And in the year 2000, Blockbuster could have had the whole thing for $50 million, less than what they collected in late fees in a single month. But here is the part most people do not know. Blockbuster almost saved itself. In 2004, CEO John Antioco saw what was happening. He launched Blockbuster Online, a DVD by mail service to compete directly with Netflix. He began cutting late fees and he invested in digital. It was working. Blockbuster Online was pulling subscribers away from Netflix. Netflix had to lower its prices in 2007 to compete. Reed Hastings later said that if it had not been for their debt, they could have killed us. But the board did not see it that way. Carl Icahn, the billionaire investor who had bought a big chunk of Blockbuster, pushed to fire Antioco. The cost of competing with Netflix was too high and the board agreed. They replaced him with James Keyes, a former 7-Eleven executive who had never run a media company. Keyes reversed Antioco's changes. He pulled back from online and he focused on the physical stores. In 2008, he said that he had been frankly confused by this fascination that everybody has with Netflix and that Netflix did not really have or do anything that Blockbuster could not already do itself. 2 years later, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. By 2010, the company had more than $1 billion in debt. Revenue was falling off a cliff. Netflix was growing. Redbox was putting dollar rental kiosks in every grocery store and gas station. Walmart, Target, and Best Buy were selling DVDs so cheap that renting didn't make sense anymore. And streaming was about to make all of it irrelevant. On September 23, 2010, Blockbuster filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. $900 million in debt, the largest video rental company in history, finished. On April 6, 2011, Dish Network won the bankruptcy auction and paid $320 million for everything that was left. 1,700 stores, the brand, the name, all of it, for less than 4% of what Viacom had paid 17 years earlier. Dish closed hundreds more stores. By January 2014, the last company-owned Blockbuster closed. 50 franchise stores stayed open in 11 states, then 40, then 20, then 10. One by one, the lights went off, the signs came down, the shelves were emptied, and the buildings were leased to cell phone stores and urgent care clinics and tax preparation offices. Every few months, another one gone. In July 2018, the Blockbuster in Anchorage, Alaska closed. That left one, Bend, Oregon. A small franchise store at 211 Northeast Revere Avenue opened as a local video shop called Pacific Video in 1992 and converted to a Blockbuster franchise in 2000. The owner, Ken Tischer, never gave up. The general manager, Sandi Harding, has been running the store since 2004. In March 2019, the last Blockbuster outside the United States in Perth, Australia, closed. On their final night, the Perth staff called Bend to wish them luck. Sandi said it was really cool that they called all the way from Australia to tell them good luck. Bend was the last one, the last Blockbuster on Earth. The store still runs on a DOS-based IBM computer system from 1995. Sandi buys new movie releases at Walmart and Target every Tuesday because there are no distributors left. About 80% of the store's income now comes from selling merchandise, t-shirts, mugs, hats. Tourists drive from across the country to walk the aisles one more time, to take a selfie, to rent a movie they will never watch, just to hold a Blockbuster case in their hands again. Some people rent a movie, walk outside, and drop it in the return slot immediately so their kids can experience putting a tape in a Blockbuster drop box just once, just so they know what it felt like. A woman walked in one afternoon and started crying. Her father had just died, her parents divorced when she was young, and when she was with her dad, the one thing they did together was go to Blockbuster every weekend, just the two of them. Walking the aisles, picking a movie. That store was the only place left on Earth that still held that memory in a form she could touch. In 2020, a Netflix documentary called The Last Blockbuster told Sandi's story. It streamed on Netflix. The irony writes itself. In October 2024, a viral social media post claimed the Ben store was finally closing. The phones rang non-stop. Online orders exploded. It was a hoax. Sandi put out a statement saying they were not closing. She was not angry. She was grateful for the attention. It meant people still cared. 9,094 stores, 25 countries, 84,000 employees, $6 billion in revenue. The company that defined Friday night for an entire generation. The company that had the chance to buy Netflix and laughed. The company that fired the one CEO who was actually trying to save it. All of it gone. Except one small store in Oregon where a woman named Sandi still unlocks the door every morning, boots up a computer from 1995, and waits for someone to walk in and remember what it felt like. If you ever stood in the new releases section on a Friday night and felt your heart drop because the movie you wanted was already gone, if you ever negotiated with your family for 20 minutes over what to rent, if you ever rewound a tape at 11 at night because the sticker told you to and you did not want to be the person who did not, if you ever held that blue and yellow membership card in your hand like it was a ticket to the best night of the week, you remember, and so does Sandi. If Blockbuster was part of your Friday nights, tell me about it in the comments. What was the last movie you ever rented? I want to hear it. And if this was worth your time, subscribe. There are more of these stories coming about the places and things and rituals we all shared and the reasons they are not here anymore. Be kind, rewind,